And that's not all. You'll also get the opportunity to work on multiple projects and learn from industry experts working in top-tier data product companies and academics from top universities. After completing these courses, thousands of learners have transitioned into new data science or analytics roles, or moved on to higher paying jobs and profiles. If you are passionate about making your career in this field, then make sure to check out the link in the comment and description box to find a data science and analytics program that fits your experience and areas of interest.
Craving a career upgrade? Subscribe, like, and comment below. Dive into the link in the description to fast-track your ambitions. Whether you're making a switch or aiming higher, Simplilearn has your back.
If you want to upskill yourself, master data science and analytics skills, and land your dream job or grow in your career, then you must explore Simplilearn's cohort of various data science and analytics programs. Simplilearn offers various certification and postgraduate programs in collaboration with some of the world's leading universities like Caltech, Purdue, IIT Kanpur, and many more. Through our courses, you will gain knowledge and work-ready expertise in skills like advanced Excel, Python, machine learning, data visualization, generative AI, and over a dozen others. And that's not all. You also get the opportunity to work on multiple projects and learn from industry experts working in top-tier data and product companies and academicians from top universities. After completing these courses, thousands of learners have transitioned into a data science or analytics role as a fresher or moved on to a higher paying job and profile. If you are passionate about making your career in this field, then make sure to check out the link in the pinned comment and description box to find a data science and analytics program that fits your experience and areas of interest.
Okay, so now we're on our Excel spreadsheet, and here we have some text boxes in columns A and B. You see we have lower and upper. So here we have a mix of uppercase and lowercase names. And first we're going to try to convert them to lowercase, and then we will convert the entire text to uppercase. So to do that, we insert the equal symbol and select the lower formula. Then we'll select that function, and now click on cell A3. That's the cell address of what we want to convert. And then we press on OK, and now we see that all the letters are converted to lowercase. So then we just click on this cell and we drag this down, and this will be applied to all the cells. So now let's convert this to uppercase. We hit the equal sign and then choose the upper function. Then again, select A3 and press enter, and we can see that they all converted. And then we'll again drag these down, and this will apply to all cells. And that's how we convert data to either upper or lowercase. Now we're on a different Excel spreadsheet, and you can see we have sales data based on a store. And what we're going to do, we're going to add multiple rows or a single row in this particular data. So here you can see the region-wise, category-wise, state-wise, subcategory-wise, and sales quantities. Now let's just imagine that you need to add sale data here. So let's imagine that on the 7th row you were to add some detail. For example, maybe you had a technology sale on that particular day and you needed to add that. So how do we create a new row? For example, if multiple sales happen on the same day and you missed out on something and you wanted to add rows into the existing rows, it's pretty simple. You just click the row and right click and then press on insert. Now this will insert an entire row. So let's say you wanted to add multiple rows, like 3 to 4 rows or however many you want in between this existing data. So it's pretty simple. All you have to do is select 3 or 4 rows and then right click and then press on insert, and then you'll see that the rows have been inserted. So that's how we add multiple rows in our Excel spreadsheet, or a single row, however many you want. Now we have an Excel worksheet, and we have employee details. And say you wanted to add the employee's last name. And if you were a beginner and you don't know how to add a column, you might be a little ambiguous. So instead of using this simple step, you might end up creating a whole new sheet or maybe other approaches as well, which are time consuming. So let me give you this example. And all you have to do is select the column. So here you want to add a last name, right? So B is your column with the first name. And here you want to add a second name or the last name, which is between columns B and C. So remember that Excel adds a column always to the left of whatever column you select. So if you had to want a column next to B, then you would want to select column C and right-click and select the Insert option. So it would be added between B and C, which is adjacent to B. So let's look at it, right? So you have added the next column or a new column right next to the column B. And you can see it's in between the designation and employee name. So you could rename that to employee second. Now, if you wanted to create multiple columns altogether, here we have selected one column, but we could select multiple columns just like we did on the rows. So let's just delete that, and I'll show you here. What I want to do is we want to add the second name over here and also the manager of these employees right here. So say you wanted to add two columns. And now you might be wondering, can I add two columns together, or will it work for only one column? So it works for two columns and also even more than two columns altogether. So you wanted to add two columns here. So we select the two columns, and you can select or click on column C and hold that left key and drag it along to the right. So now you can see I've got two columns, and it'll drag again, and you can see I've got three columns. And you can clearly see we've selected three columns. And if I go again, we'll have selected four columns. So we got our four columns here. Now what we do is, again, right-click and click on Insert, and we've added those four columns between employee name and designation. And now you might add a second name or the manager's name, employee ID, I don't know, which or department, anything that you can think of or that you would like to add. Okay, now on to our next Excel spreadsheet. Say you want to add an extension to your data. Since we have sales here, let's say you might want to add a dollar logo. So if you have like 5 or 10 cells, then it's fairly easy. But if you have multiple cells or multiple rows, it might be a little time consuming. In such scenarios, you might want to select the entire column, right? So how do you do that in the shortest method? There are different methods to do it, but this is going to be the easiest. So we're just going to click on the column name, which is E. And if you click on it, you can see the entire column is selected. And here we have numbers. So let's imagine we want to select entire row 2. Then click on number 2, and you'll have all the cells in that row selected. So that's one way. And again, there's another way where you can just click on the first table header and press Control and the space bar. So the combination key is Control space bar for columns. And if you want to select the entire row, then it's Shift space bar. So that's the method, a different method. Another method, you might have doubt right here. So when you click on the column name or you click on the row number, the entire row or entire column gets selected, right? And you want to select only the cells which have data. So we have another way to do that. So you can select the cell and hold the Control and Shift key and press the lower arrow key to select the entire column with cells having data. So there you go. So we've selected all the cells in one single column with that contain data. And then we'll see all the cells which do not have data are not selected. Now the same applies to rows as well. Control, Shift, right arrow key, or left arrow key based on your rows. And all the rows with data will be selected. I mean, all the cells in a row are selected, not the entire rows. So now going back to the first question on how to add the dollar symbol. So we have general. So go to the data type, currency, and you can see it added rupees here. So since we're in India, we have rupees. Now what's the advantage of selecting the entire row when you don't have any data in the 57th row or the next cell? Well, I'll show you. Let's add the number 100 and press enter. And there you go. Now let's add another number like 1,000 and press enter. So the data formatting is automatically applied to all the cells. So most of the time you're going to be having data that's new or you might have to take away. And so this will be helpful in those situations. Now, comparing two different columns or multiple columns happens to be an important job when you're working in data analytics. So as you have to come up with some decisive decisions based on the data. Now, if you had to do it manually, then you might end up taking hours or even days based on the data set you're working with. But if I could say you could do it within minutes, then it might be helpful, right? So let me show you how to do that. So here we have two columns, column 1 and column 2. And our job is to compare column 1 and column 2 and come up with a result. Now, the first and the simplest way to do it is to use the built-in conditional formatting, which comes with Excel by default. Now, all you have to do is select all the data and navigate to Home, and then go to Styles group and select Conditional Formatting. And then when we're at Conditional Formatting, we come over and we can see Duplicate Values. And then if we click on this pop-up window, we'll see we have two options, Duplicate or Unique. So duplicate means you're comparing the cells, and you can see here are some duplicate cells which are present in column 1 and also in column 2. You can also check to find out the unique values, which are only present in column 1 but not in column 2. So if you press unique, there you go, you can find it. Now you can also try to change the color by filling it with green, say for unique columns, and do duplicate cells with a different color red. Now that was just the first method. You could also work on some different ones, like you could just directly press equal to and select the cell, and equals to and the next cell. Press enter, and if it's a match, it'll give you a true, and if not, it'll give you false. Then you can just drag this down, and this will compare those cells, and you can see which are true and which are false. And now you can also make some minute modifications to this. So say in case you didn't find the data, then you could say not found. So for that, you go if, and inside the brackets, you could give the value if not found, and if it's true, it's found, you will write found in parentheses. If it's not found, then we write not found. Close the brackets, press enter, and there you go. And again, we'll drag and get the results. Now, so far we've discussed comparing two cells using conditional formatting, and also by using the equals to operator, and add some tweaks to the equals to operator by involving an if operator. And apart from those, we have another way to compare two columns in Excel. So another way is using the lookup functions. And first we're going to use a simple VLOOKUP function to compare both the cells. So for that, we type in equals to and VLOOKUP. And then we'll select the cell you want to check for and the range of elements you want to compare. Then press F4 to log them. And now you want the data from column 1, and you want the exact match. So 0, press enter, and there you go. So the elements which are present in column 1 and in column 2 are being displayed here. So, but if the elements are not found and you get an error, let's look at that and simply drag the formula down. And there you go. So the elements which are matching will give you the proper result, but the ones which are not matching will give you not applicable or the error message. This can be fixed. So we could just make a few minor tweaks to the same formula, and we can add if error, comma, and then we write not found. and then close the bracket. Now it should do it. Now we close the bracket. Now then we just simply drag this again, and now we can see the data which doesn't have a match is shown as not found. There's another possibility. So let's go back to a different sheet. So this should work. So we already have the formula. So let's erase that first. I'll erase all the data, even this one. And now we have a clear column. So here you can see we have Ford India, and here you can see we have just Ford. And here we have Mahindra and Mahindra, and then we have Hyundai Mahindra. So in some situations, you might have to compare two different columns, but the names might be just a little different, right? So for example, if you're working with Oracle, and if you're working with Oracle America, and you have, in the first case, it's Oracle, and the second column is Oracle America, then those are one and the same. But let's say we have some differences in the text, just like here you have Ford India and you have Ford. So in these cases, you could also make some minor tweaks. So using the same formula lookup, you can add equals to VLOOKUP, and then the comparison cell, which is this one, and you're not stopping there. You're trying to add the wildcard here. So the wildcard is asterisk, which means if there's anything like if the comparison between the first cell and the second cell matches, if there's anything extra than the actual cell, please consider it. So that's what we're going to do. So after entering the wildcard symbol, we'll select the range of columns which you have to fetch the data from. Then try fix them using the function key F4. You're looking from the column 1, and then you're finding the exact match. So now you can close it and enter now. And again, we'll drag this down and we'll get our information. And you can see Mahindra, Hyundai India, Honda India. So that's how you use comparing cells in Excel. Now, let's look at transposing in Excel. Now, I have one table on my worksheet right now. So you can transpose or convert rows to columns. That's a very simple task, and I'll explain 2 ways to do that. So the first is to select all the cells that you have on your sheet. So press Control-C. So it'll give you a copy, and then you can also paste in the same sheet if you want to, or you can go to a whole new sheet and select the paste option. But before selecting the actual paste option, you can see a small drop-down icon, and we'll click on that and navigate to Paste Special. And here you can see Transpose option. Click on that, or make sure that it's checked and press OK. And now you can see all your columns have been converted into rows, and all your rows are converted into columns. So that's the first way. Now the second way is fairly simple. You select one cell somewhere, and you can, let's create a new sheet to do this. So here, write down the formula as transpose and select the array which you want to transpose. So this is the array. So transpose is basically an array function in Excel. So once you've done selecting your data, press enter, and there you go. And you see all your rows are now columns, and all your columns are all rows. Now in this spreadsheet, you can see sales data, quarterly sales data in 4 different zones. That's north, west, south, and east. So now we want to clean this up a little bit and make it look better by hiding these columns. And if you hide these columns, it's critical for the end user to be able to identify which columns are hidden, right? So to make things a little easier for you or your end user, you can select the columns and then go to the data option. And in the data option, click on the group option. So this will group these columns. And then you'll have a symbol of minimization, which will help you hide these columns automatically, and as well as unhide them automatically. Now let's also try to group GHIJ columns. And there you go. Now, similarly, we could do the rows. So let's use the rows of north, rows of west, rows of south, and finally rows of east. All right, now all these rows and columns are grouped. So now to hide them, you just click on the minimize. Same with the rows. And to unhide them, you just click on the plus icon, and that will unhide those. Now we can also ungroup these rows, again, by selecting them and then selecting the ungroup. Same here. Same with the rows. So that's how we group and ungroup rows and columns in Excel. Now we have this spreadsheet, and you can see I have some sample data, and it does have some blank rows. So I want to eliminate these blank rows. So one way we can do this is to select the entire row and right-click and then delete it. Again, this method might take hours to get rid of all of the blank rows. And most of the time, you might end up even selecting rows with data in it. So if I want to select multiple rows, I'll be selecting some rows with data as well, which might be a little troublesome. So let's try to use an easier way. So for that, let's go to the Find and Select option, and go to Special option, and select the Blanks option, and press OK. Now hold the Control key and press the minus key, and you'll have an option of deleting the cells. Now select the entire row. Now we're selecting the entire row with blank data, and press OK. And the cells will be shifted. Now that was simple, but let me show you another example. So here we have some blank rows, but in between those blank rows, for example, take cell 17 or D17, and we have data, which says testing. And here in the employee ID, we have data at A26, and again at B39, we have data there too. So in such scenarios, how do I eliminate the data? Well, we have a simple formula for that. So all I need to do is add another row, and we're going to count the number of cells in the row that have data. Now here, count equals to function. The function is count A. And press tab, and then we'll select A2 to G2 and press enter. So now you have 7. So we're basically calculating the number of cells in that row that have data. So let's do the same to the entire data set. And we'll drag that. And there you go. As you can see, there are certain places where you find 0, which are basically empty columns or cells. Now we'll do some formatting. Now we'll try to add filters. So Control A, Control D. Now our table will have filters and headers. Now here we can see a drop-down icon in the count column. Click on that, and then we'll deselect all, and we'll select 0. And then we'll be left with all the rows which do not have data. So we can select those and press on delete, or Control minus. And there we go. Now we just go in here and clear the filter. And then we're just left with the data which without any rows that have blanks, or all blanks rather. So each row you can see has data. And then those rows which didn't have data have been eliminated. So here we have another spreadsheet, and you can see columns and rows of data. And there's so much data. We're going to focus on column C, but there's so much data that we can't see it all on the screen. And then we scroll up or scroll down, you can see that the headers disappear, or they're not visible. And see, as we scroll down, we lose our headers. So you might want to keep that so that you have reference to every single aspect of every single cell data that you're referring to. So for that reason, you might want to freeze this. And you also might question if I had this data in the column section, right? And if I had to freeze that, and when you scroll this way, and you want to keep that data set in the column as it is. So we can also do that. But let's look at both of them. So there's a simple process to do that. And all you have to do is select the cell for which you want to set or freeze the column or row adjacent to it. So let me explain this. So I currently want to freeze this particular row and this particular column. So the cell that I'll be selecting is this one here, which is D5, right? So when I select this particular cell, I can freeze this particular row and this particular column. So now we need to navigate to the toolbar, select the View menu, and inside the View option, you could see an option to freeze panes. So click on the drop down, and then you see 3 different options. As we discussed earlier, we can either choose to freeze an entire row, that is the second option, or you can freeze the entire column, that is the third option, or you can freeze both of them, which is the first option, right? And freezing rows and columns. So let's select this one and see if our rows and columns are frozen or not. So let's scroll down, and you can see that our row is successfully frozen there. And similarly, scrolling toward the right, you can see our column has been successfully frozen. So this is how you freeze rows and columns, or you can freeze panes in Excel. Now on my sheet, you can see we have some numbers. There's $10 or 10.20, 22, 53.1, $12, and $110. Now the task is to convert these numbers into Word format. That is representing the numbers alphabetically, right? So this might be a little curious, and we also might end up searching for a predefined method, which is not readily available in Excel, but there is a way where you can create a function using Excel VBA or macros. Now, creating a macro is fairly complex, but Microsoft has already come up with an available macro code on their official website, which will support the various versions of Microsoft Excel, starting from Excel 365 all the way to the older Excel version, which is 2010. Now you can scroll down and use this particular macro function, which Microsoft has already made available to us, and use this to create our own macro in Excel VBA. Now let's get back to Excel. And you can create a macro using the developer option. Now the developer options are not readily available in Excel, but to activate the developer option, you go to Home and go to the Options menu. And here you go to the Customize ribbon. And here in the second drop-down menu, you can see the developer option. Now, by default, it will not be checked, so just click on the check option to activate the developer options and press OK. And now you have your developer options ready. Click on Developer Options, click on Visual Basic, and here, to insert a new macro, click on the Insert button. Click on Module, and a new macro window is readily available for you. Now, Control-V to paste your code, and your function is here, the name, number to text. Right? Now, close the macro, and here, your function will be readily available. Equals to, and the function name, number, to text. Press Tab to select the function and select the cell where you have the data. Close the function, press Enter, and now drag the same formula across all the cells. And here you have the text converted from numbers. So here we have $10.20, $22 and no cents, $53.12, $12 and no cents, and $110 and no cents. And that's how you can convert numbers to words using a macro, which is predefined for Excel in the Microsoft website. Now let's imagine that you want to create one single cell for all the employees in your company, which includes a first name, second name, and their email ID, all in one place. So to do this, I'll show you. Let me show you how it looks. So let me copy this here. That's the first name. Now it's the second name along with the email ID. Now let's imagine that you wanted to do all these employees in the same way. So you can do this by using a combined operation in Excel. All it takes is just a simple formula that is equals to and the first cell address, A2, and you can use an ampersand sign, and then the next cell reference, which is B2, and then colon, and then the last address, which is E2. Now press enter. Oh, what do I do here? Okay, there we go. So when you press enter, you'll get this particular answer, but the data is completely in a state where you can't understand it, right? The first name, the last name, and the email ID all ran together. So it's combined. So you want to use some spaces, right? So all you needed to do is just make a little modification to this existing data. So we could press another ampersand and include spaces. And then you can separate the email ID and the name with some colon. So now we've separated the first two cells, the first name and the last name, with a space using the ampersands. And again, we have another ampersand and included the colon. And we see we've also included a space between the colon marks. And it gets separated cleanly. Now let's try, we'll press tab and see the result. So there you go. First name and the second name is separated by space, and the email ID and the complete name is separated by a colon. And then we can apply this to all the cells. So there you go. First name, last name, and email IDs have been printed. So that's how you use the combine operation in Excel. Okay, now you can see here we have the sales data for one employee in the month of January. So this is the sales data for John in January. So now let's say we have the sales data for John for 3 months. So here we go. We have 3 months of sales data for John, January, February, and March. Now say we want to combine all 3 months and combine it as quarter one. So let's see how we do that. Now, you can see that only January is replaced as quarter one, and February and March is still remain the same. So let's just delete those. And now we have quarter one here, and it looks like this is the sales data for quarter one. But again, quarter one is under column B, and anyone who looks at it might feel like this data is of January, February, and March, and that all of quarter one details are only present in the B column. But C and D are completely, different from this one, right? So we don't want to give that impression on the, so whoever's looking at that. So for those situations, we want to merge these 3 columns, make sure that the quarter one is present somewhere in between the cells so that all the data looks relevant. And it defines that these data elements belong to Q1. So there's an option in Excel to do that. Select all the cells that you want to merge, go to the Home button, and in the Home button, get into the Alignment group and select Merge and Center. Now we could do that directly, or there's a drop-down box with some options: merge and center, merge cells, unmerge cells. So we'll go through these one by one. First, we'll go through merge and center. And there you can see quarter one is merged and it's been aligned in the center. Now let's say your boss doesn't want to see it that way, and they want to have those months independent. Now, how do we get rid of that? So for that, we just go back up to Merge and Center and select a drop down and unmerge cells. And there you go. It's back again. And then you can just put your months back in. January, February, March. Okay. There you go. You have it back. So there might be some situations where you want to look at those individually. Now let's fix this. Let's merge and center this, John. There we go. Now let's take an example, or say that we're going through an appraisal cycle, and we want to add some comments about the sales for those months. And let's say you wanted to take a review from your level 1, level 2, and level 3 managers. See, we have review 1, 2, 3 managers. Yep. So we have all 3 rows here, but the cells, we need to merge these cells. So then we want to merge every single row. So we could do that one row at a time, and that'd be time consuming. For 3, it wouldn't be so bad, but if we had, let's say, 6 or 7 managers, and we wanted to do that, and or maybe some other comments they wanted to add there based on these sales. So what we would do then is we would select these rows, all the cells, and then come over here to merge across. And then we see all the cells will be merged all together at once. And then you'll have those individual rows where you can write down your reviews, like review 1, review 2, review 3, and so on. So this is how the option of merge across works. And we've already done merge and center, and merge is similar to merge and center. So this is how merge and center, merge across, and unmerge works. Okay, now there are multiple ways to add a date to an Excel spreadsheet. For example, equals to today is a shortcut method. And then you would have today's date. But there's a problem with that kind of approach. So today's date is 4th of September 2022. Now, if we open the same spreadsheet after today, that is tomorrow or day after tomorrow, you will have a concurrent date. That is the 5th or 6th of September. Right there, the date will always vary or get updated according to the time that you look at it. Now, you don't want to change that, or you don't want that to be happening within the employee's date of joining, right? It should be the same date and shouldn't vary. So there's another shortcut apart from using the date and time function. There's a keyboard shortcut where you can add the date to Excel. That is Control semicolon. So this is a different shortcut way to add the date to your Excel spreadsheet. And this particular date will not change. It'll remain the same, a constant date throughout time. Now, let's say you have a situation where you want to add the time to your spreadsheet. That is your date of joining and time of joining. So there's another simple shortcut where you can add the time just by pressing 3 keys. That is holding Control, holding Shift, and pressing semicolon. And then you'll have the time. So this is how you can add the date to your Excel spreadsheet and add the time to your Excel spreadsheet. And the date and time will remain constant. It will not vary like the today function that we used here. So on my screen, you can see I have an Excel spreadsheet. And in my spreadsheet, you can see dates in column A and different formats in column C, D, E, and F respectively. Now, by default, the date type or the data present in the A column will be general. And there are a few situations where even if you try to format the date in your format, like, the customized format, you may not be able to do it because it's still under the general data type. So for that, to be on the safe side, what we will do is select the data and navigate to the data toolbar. And in that, you have the text to columns option. Press that. And remember to have the delimited icon. You might be having the dash as your icon or slash as your icon for the delimited thing, and select that, and next, and here you can see it's in general mode. So you could press on date, and DMY will be your date format. That is day, month, and year. So now click on Finish. So it's been formatted. Let's copy the same data and paste it in all 4 formats so that we'll see the different formats that we can change to or customize to. So here you go. Let's expand the columns a little bit. And now we have day, month, and year. So you might want to change a couple of things, right? For example, you want to change, okay, so let's see the menu. As the way is to select the cell and right-click and select the Format Cells option. And here you can see the date function. And here you can see the different types of modifications that you can do to your data, right? So you might also want to change your dates based on the location. So right now we're in India, but imagine if you wanted to know, change something based on the US, or if you have a client in the US and he wants the dates in US format, you can also change that. So here you can see English, United States, and press on that, press OK. And you can see it's been changed to US format, where you have years in the first place, months in the second place, and dates in the last place. All right. So let's imagine your client does not want the dates. All he needs is just the months. So you could do that. You get back to the Format Cells option, go to Custom, and here instead of, the month and date and year, all you need to do is just write down month and year and select OK. So you have a month and year, not the dates. Now your client's being a little more, wants a little more detail, maybe wants a lot of granularity to your data, which includes day, time, etc., everything, right? So you can do that. So the same way, go to Format Cells, Custom, and here, I think it's in the date itself. So let's navigate a little. Yeah, here. So you have the day, date, month, and year. Press OK. So there you go. So that's how you do that. Now let's try another one if we have more options. So go to Format Cells and Custom. You also have the time. So here you have the date, month, year, and time. Press OK. And there you have all the times as well as. So since these dates, I created them just a few moments ago to keep it simple, I did not have to add the time. So here, if you're keen about adding the time, you can also do that. So for example, if you wanted to add the time that the employees logged in and logged out, you can also do that using the same format. Now on this Excel spreadsheet, you can see you have a couple columns. A is the date and B is the age. And how do we calculate the age based on the date of birth? So that's pretty simple. All you have to use is the dated if function, or you also call it the date diff function based on your choice. We also have a specific entire tutorial based on date diff in Excel. For further information for that, video will be linked in the description box below. And you can go through it, or you can use the end screens and icons linked in the video to get back to the tutorial based on date diff in Excel. Now, let's calculate the age of these people with these date of births. So all you have to do is type equals to and type dated F and open a bracket. We need 3 parameters here. That is date of birth. That is the first parameter. Now second is the today function, because you're calculating the age of these people as of today. So we have a today function in Excel. Press on tab to select it and close the bracket. Now comma. And if you want to calculate the age in terms of days, you have to give a D as the input. Here it should be D as the input. And don't forget to use double quotes here. And if you use single quotes, there might be an error. So use the double quotes. Now, if you want to see the data in days, you can enter D. If you want it in months, M. And for years, Y. So we'll enter that as a third parameter, press enter, and there you go. You'll have their age. It's 26 years, and you drag that same function, and you have the ages for all these. And so that's how you calculate age in Excel. Now on my Excel spreadsheet, we have different timings, that is in and out. So we are considering a scenario where we're calculating the total number of hours worked by an employee in an organization. So the in time will be the time where the employee logged in, and the out time will be the time when the employee logged out. So here we make some minor cell formatting. So when you right-click on any of the cells, you get back to the formatting cells option, and in option we have to select the AM PM. So there's also another option for choosing the 24-hour timing, which is 1320, 1330. So this represents the 24-hour format. But since we're now working on office timing, let's keep it as AM and PM. Okay, so there you go. We have our timings of in and out, and we want to calculate the time difference between the time in and the time out. So this particular calculation is fairly simple. All you have to do is press equals to, select the time out minus time in. So there you go. Press enter, and you have the total number of hours the employee has been working in your organization. So here we also have made some minor cell formatting. So usually it comes out as AM PM, right? But instead of that, we have made minor cell formatting and have navigated into time and have selected 24-hour formatting so that we've just hours in our output. Now, if you're looking to get certified, then we are here with an amazing course through which you can catch the eyes of top recruiters in the industry. Allow me to introduce Postgraduate Program in Data Analytics by Simplilearn. So what are you waiting for? Hurry up and enroll now. Find the cost link in the description box. Now you can see that I've got some data, which is first name of the employee, last name of the employee, and the phone number. Now let's assume that your manager has given you a task to identify all those employees which did not give a phone number. So you wanted to identify them using a checkbox, right? Like you will provide a check for all the employees that we have received the phone numbers. And you will not be checking the employees which did not give a phone number. So let's try to do that. So to include a checkbox, you might want to get into developer option, but for free reasons, Microsoft has disabled the developer option by default. To enable the developer option, all you have to do is just navigate anywhere on the ribbon and right-click, and then you can see Customize Ribbon option. When you click into it, you'll be redirected into the ribbon option. And here you can see the developer option on the right side. So this one by default, you can see that your developer option is not enabled. To enable it, all you have to do is check it, and there you go. You have it. So now press OK, and you'll have the developer option. Now go to the developer option and select the insert option, and there you can see the checkbox. Now, draw the checkbox anywhere. I'll draw it over here. There you go. You have the first checkbox. Now, if you want, you can even customize this. So carefully click it. You can edit the text and write as done. Now you can even copy this to all the cells. Just select and drag, and there you go. Now you can go ahead and check all the employees which you have received the phone numbers, and you can eliminate the ones which did not provide you with the phone number. So that's how you do that. And there's also another option where you can use this to include it in a formula. Since this data is only of 25 rows, you could manually check in the data, and you can leave the data which have not been yet received. But if you had 2,500, then you might need a formula. So in such scenarios, you could use a formula. So how do you use that formula? So for example, if this particular box is checked, then you'd get a true value here. If it's not checked, you'll have a false value. And you can use that Boolean value to include in your formula, right? So if that sounds interesting, let's try to implement that. So you can right-click the cell, and then you'll find Format Control. Then here you can see we have an option called Cell Link. So we'll select the cell, and then the cell we're going to link to, and then press OK. So here you can see that if you check this, the value is true. And if you uncheck this, you'll see the value is false. Now you can use this particular cell reference for including this in a formula. So let's take a look at how to include checkboxes on Google Sheets. In a Google Sheet, it's really simple. All you have to do is get into the Insert option, and you can see a readily available checkbox, so you don't have to use any developer options here. And there you go, you can just check that. Now let's assume that you're giving an important presentation, and you're also requested by your manager to add the Excel document that you have used to create that particular report, which would be something like this. Now when you click on it, it will open a new Excel document or Excel window with all the data in it, right? So how do we do that? Let's look at the demo. So we have a blank slide, and let's get back to the source where our Excel file is located. That is in my documents. So we are currently in my documents, and we have the Excel file which we use for creating that particular report. Now, if we try to copy and paste it on our Excel document, it would look something like this. And clearly it's not visible, and it's not accessible, right? So instead of this, there's another way where you can directly add the Excel document in the form of logo, which is a rather simple idea. And all you have to do is just click on the Insert option in the toolbar, then navigate to the text group, and here you will find the option called Object. Click on the object, and it will give you a new window where you can identify which type of document or object you want to add, to either create or create from file. So we have the file in our local system. So we'll choose Create from File, Browse, and from Browse, we'll go into the Documents section where we have our Excel file. Click on the Excel file and click on OK. Now, if you want the data or Excel file to be displayed in the form of an icon, then click on the Display as Icon section. And here you can change the icon, so you can choose any one of the given options. Let's choose this particular one and click on OK. And another OK, and there you go. The icon will now be displayed on your Microsoft PowerPoint PPD, which is completely clickable as the previous one. And whenever you click on this, the Excel document will be opened. So that's how you add an Excel document into Microsoft PowerPoint. Now, we are on our Excel spreadsheet, and here I'm trying to insert some images onto my spreadsheet. So here we have company logos and company brand names. So since we already have the brand names, what we need to add here is the brand logos. So how do we add these types of images into an Excel spreadsheet? You might be thinking that Excel spreadsheets are just for data and not multimedia images. Well, that's not true. You could also add your images onto your Excel spreadsheets, and it's fairly simple. So just click on anywhere on the Excel spreadsheet and navigate to the Insert button. Select the Illustrations options, and then click on that. And then on the drop-down, you can see Pictures icon or the Pictures button. Click on that and select from this device. Or if you have an online stock image, you can use that, or you can select from online pictures. For now, I'll select this device. And here I have some images. The images that we need are Simplilearn and Simplicode logos. Press OK or Insert. And here you have them. And now you can also adjust the size of the image using the small buttons here. And place it over here. And done. So you might be wondering, are we all done here, or is there more we can do? Is just adding an image enough? Well, most of the time when you create your work with an Excel spreadsheet, you'll not just, add some data and relevant images. Most of the time you're going to add some graphs, or you'll add some charts to showcase the data dashboard, right? So it will be something like this. And this is how you add the image or graph onto your dashboard. Sometimes you might not have enough space to display your entire dashboard. Now, during those situations, what you do is you try to hide the row or column. So now let's try to hide this particular row. Now let's imagine you wanted to show it only 2 charts, and there's no space for your 3rd chart. In such scenarios, you might want to hide or remove that 3rd chart, okay? So let's try to hide it, and we'll see if it gets hidden or not. Now when you try to hide it, you can see column A has no data, and the row number 4 has been hidden. So we have 3 and 5. But what about the image that is still present? So if you want to make sure that the row also hides the image, then what you have to do is a little formatting with it. So select the image, go to Picture, Format. Or you can also right-click and directly navigate to Picture Format, and this opens up a set of options. And here, let's say we're going to go to the 3rd one, which is Picture Format, and select the properties. And here, select the option of Move and Size with Cells. So when you select this, when you try to hide the cell, it'll also hide the graph or image along with it. So now let's talk about how to insert a PDF in Excel. There are multiple ways to insert a PDF into Excel, and we're going to go through a couple of those now. First, let's imagine that we want to insert a PowerPoint presentation in PDF format into our Excel sheet. So that belongs to Excel Basics. Now, click on the cell where you want to add the PDF, or just click any cell in the Excel spreadsheet. Then go to the option of Insert in the toolbar. Then navigate to the text option, click on it, and select Object. And here you can select Create from File, and then you can browse. And here you have your Excel Basics PDF in My Documents. Click on that, select Insert, and here you can just press OK, and the PDF will be inserted. Now you can minimize the size of the PDF to fit the cell. There you go. The PDF code successfully inserted into your Excel spreadsheet. Now let's discuss a second way to do that. A second way is much the same. The only difference is that you'll add a logo to your PDF. So you can see it's been added in direct form of a PDF, like what's the first slide of the PPT. But instead of that, you wanted to highlight it as an icon. Then you can select the Display as Icon button here and press OK. Now you have to reformat the size of your PPT or PDF. And all you have to do is add the logo to your PDF, and it will also include the title. So it's another way of adding, the PDF to your Excel spreadsheet. Another way is, let's say you want to look at the first page of the PDF. You want that to be visible, or a logo of that PDF reader to be visible on your spreadsheet. Sometimes all you want is some dedicated image or a dedicated logo, right? So this time, let's try to add a dedicated image to our PDF. So go to Insert again, and you can see the Illustrations options. Click on Picture, and from this device, so I will select Simplilearn's logo, and now we'll resize the logo a little bit to fit the cell. There you go. And then now we can right-click and select the link option. Select existing file or web page option. So if you're interested in learning more on hyperlinks in Excel, we have a dedicated tutorial on that. So please go through the hyperlinks in Excel by Simplilearn. And that'll explain everything about hyperlinks in Excel and how to insert them in different types of documents to be inserted and how it works in real time. For now, let's try to insert the existing web page, and we'll go to Documents, navigate to Documents, and inside this, you have the Excel Basic PDF. Click on OK, and it's been added to your image. So when you click on it, it will open the PDF document attached to it. So when you hover over the cell, you can see it will ask you permission. Do you want to continue or not? Just click on this, ignore warning. So you can see the PDF has been successfully opened. Now, how to convert PDF into Excel. Now, to do this, let's get back to the practical mode and try to convert the PDF data into Excel. Now, you can see the PDF document, which I'm looking to convert from PDF to Excel. So this particular PDF document has a table, and this is a state-wise GST collections that happened during March of 2020. Now, we want to convert this tabular data from PDF format to Excel. Now, we're on Microsoft Excel. Now, to initiate the process, we might want to choose a blank workbook for this. So now we're at the blank workbook and the complete sheet is empty. Now, let's go into the data option in the toolbar. And in the data option of the toolbar, we have the ribbon of, it says Get and Transform Data. In this ribbon, you can see the Get Data option. Select that, and you can see various options here from File, from Database, from Azure, from other sources, etc. Now, we need the first option, that is from File. And in that, we have a drop-down, and in that drop-down, you would want to select the PDF. If you have a JSON file, you could also choose from a JSON. If you have data from XML, you can choose that. And even you can extract the data from text or CSV files as well. Now, we need the PDF option, so select PDF and navigate to where your file is. So my file is on the desktop, and let me select the PDF document, select Import. Now, Excel will automatically analyze the data in the PDF format and give you the results. So according to Excel, there are multiple tabular formats. Table 1, Table 2. So basically this table is one and the same. So all the 29 states are fixed in one table itself. But since the PDF is divided in sheets, this particular document is considering the first table as a separate table and the table which is present in the third page as a separate table. So we have Table 1, Table 2, and there are a few more tables which Excel is assuming that might be a table, but it's not. And another table, which is page number 002, is a table. And another one right here. So now there's an option of selecting all the tables all together at once, or you can select only one table of your choosing. So if you select multiple items, Excel will automatically give you an option of choosing your tables. You can just take and select the tables that you want, or you can directly select the table that you want on your Excel sheet. So right now, let's try to select multiple tables. So I'll be selecting 1, 2, 4, and 5. This particular one is not a table, so I'm going to eliminate that now. And you might want to choose the load option. So Excel is now loading the data. And all the data has been successfully loaded. And it's just giving us a notification that all the data has been successfully loaded. Now we just right-click on it. And here, choose the option Load To. And here, select Table option. And if you want the data to be loaded to a new worksheet, you can choose that and select OK. And now you can see that all the data has been successfully loaded in the form of a tabular format in the new Excel sheet. Similarly, let's try to load another page. In the table format. New worksheet. Select OK. And the third sheet. And now get ready to impress your boss by converting all the PDF data into an Excel sheet in just a matter of a few seconds with a few steps. And there you go. All 4 tables have been loaded successfully in the form of an Excel spreadsheet in just a few steps. Now this is how you convert PDF into Excel.
Staying ahead in your career requires continuous learning and upskilling. Whether you're a student aiming to learn today's top skills or a working professional looking to advance your career, we've got you covered. Explore our impressive catalog of certification programs in cutting-edge domains, including data science, cloud computing, cybersecurity, AI, machine learning, or digital marketing. Designed in collaboration with leading universities and top corporations, and delivered by industry experts, choose any of our programs and set yourself on the path to career success. Click the link in the description to know more.
Hi there, if you like this video, subscribe to the Simplilearn YouTube channel and click here to watch similar videos. To nerd up and get certified, click here.